Guys, let's do this. I compiled a list of every movie that is coming out in the year 2025. I'm gonna give my thoughts on them. I'm gonna split these videos into two parts. One part is gonna be franchise. All about franchise. Movies that are sequels, remakes, reboots, legacy remakes, legacy reboots, sequels, video game adaptations, adaptations of food, adaptations of toys. Let's fucking do it. Second part is gonna be original movies, so let's start with the franchise movies. This is gonna be a long video, so kick back, relax, listen to my voice. And it's not gonna be every movie. There's some movies that like we know the title, but it's gonna be really under wraps, so I can't really have an opinion on it. So bear with me. All right, here we go. Starting in January, you got January 3rd, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul. Guys, if you've never seen a Wallace and Gromit film, watch it. I think some of them are on YouTube because some of them are short films, but they're fucking ingenious, these movies, and I'm so happy they're making another one because the last one that came out, Curse of the Were-Rabbit, was fucking good, and they just never made another one. There's one called The Wrong Trousers. It's a short, but it has this fucking elaborate train chase that I'm sure the people who made Ant-Man watched that car chase. It's just so fucking crazy to watch, and it's all done stop motion. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul. January 10th, Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. Now, I don't know anything about Den of Thieves 1, but I used to be a big Pantera fan back in my emo teen days. Can't you see I'm easily bothered by the system? Alright, January 17th, you have The Wolfman, directed by Leigh Whannell, who is one of the two people who directed the original Saw movie, along with James Wan. He went on to make movies like Upgrade and The Invisible Man, and James Wan went on to do his own thing, like Aquaman. That's all I can really say about the movie. I find Leigh Whannell a bit hit and miss. Everyone went crazy for The Invisible Man. I wasn't one of those. I saw The Invisible Man, I was like, I much prefer watch the one with Kevin Bacon. What was that called? Hollow Man? Guys, Hollow Man is actually underrated. That's an underrated movie, Hollow Man. Because he becomes invisible and then he's just a fucking horny guy. And he's like sniffing women's underwear and shit. It was directed by Paul Verhoeven, so you know there's gonna be a fair amount of horniness in it. Next, moving on to February. January, weak month for sequels. What is going on, Hollywood? Up your sequel game. We need more sequels in January. Next, February 13, we have Bridget Jones, Mad About a Boy. I think this is Bridget Jones 4. There's Bridget Jones's Diary, Bridget Jones's something, then Bridget Jones's Baby. Now it's Bridget Jones's postmenopausal symptoms. No, it's Mad About a Boy. I don't really care. I've never seen a Bridget Jones movie. Captain America, Brave New World. This movie has been a disaster behind the scenes. The amount of times they've reshot it is amazing. Even the name they can't settle on because it used to be called Captain America New World Order, and now it's Brave New World, which, does it have anything to do with the book Brave New World? Does it have anything to do with the New World Order? We don't even know. All we know is that Harrison Ford is in it, and he's gonna, like, go up during Comic-Con or something, or some big interview during the premiere. He's gonna be like, guys, this is one that's very, very special. And then nerds are gonna be like, oh, holy shit, it's gonna be a special one. It's gonna be... Yeah, it's gonna suck. Anthony Mackie is not a leading man. Can we just get that straight? I don't know whose decision it was to make him Captain America. It was a bad decision. Paddington 2. Or 3, Paddington in Peru. Here's the thing, I'm not a big Paddington guy, but I will tell you this. I've read leaks, and apparently, from what I've heard, the movie is the worst of the trilogy. I'm sorry, Paddington fans. This is just what I've read. I'm just the messenger. Do not kill me. February 28th, you get something pretty interesting. It's called Looney Tunes, The Day the Earth Blew Up. I saw the trailer. It's pure Looney Tunes wackiness, and it's all done in 2D animation. Like, they tried it with Space Jam. They had it 2D animated, and they just couldn't fucking keep it in their pants. They're like, they go into a warp and become 3D animated. Sorry, I just had to do it. But I think now they're committing to the 2D animated Looney Tunes the way it should be. And honestly, the trailer looked pretty cool. As a Looney Tunes fan, I'm like, this is like the slapsticky nonsense I like. You know, Looney Tunes had it rough. Okay, here's my story. Sometimes, when I used to smoke marijuana, I don't smoke marijuana anymore, and you're about to find out why, but when I'd smoke marijuana, I'd get really paranoid sometimes. It would kind of go in waves. Like, some weeks, it would just be like, oh, and I'd start freaking out. But I started getting worried about HBO Max having all the Looney Tunes cartoons on them, because I'm a huge film preservationist, and I was worried that they would stop selling physical media, which is going to happen eventually, and the only way you can access Looney Tunes cartoons is through HBO. And then I started freaking out. I'm like, wait, if HBO is not showing all the Looney Tunes animations because some are outdated, then how am I going to watch all the Looney Tunes movies? And I like freaked the fuck out, and I went to Walmart and I bought as much Looney Tunes Blu-rays as I could. They didn't have it at Walmart. I don't know why I went in person. So they made me order it online. So I ordered it online, and when I received the package, some of the Blu-rays were broken. Like, whoever was handling the mail was just like, by the time I like returned it, like, my paranoia waned out. I just didn't give a shit after that. But it would be a good venture to do is fucking try to buy those Looney Tunes Blu-rays before they go extinct. Think of the children. Next, we jump into March 21st. Snow White. Snow White is going to be abysmal. I think we all heard about Snow White. Just a recap, I guess. So Snow White was in pre-production. Peter Dinklage came out and said that it's offensive to have dwarves in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And then Disney was like, yeah, screw those dwarves, man. And so they stopped casting dwarves in the movie, and instead they had 7 magical creatures. And it was just like abysmal. Like, it was like, oh, one's tall, one's short, one's black, one's white, one's in a wheelchair. No, I made that I made that one up. It wasn't actually. Anyway, so then like people started memeing on it because it was such a dumb idea. And they also referred to them as like the magical creatures, and they're each gonna have their unique abilities. Why are you referring to like a diverse group of people as magical creatures? Is it so hard to find a diverse group of people in the wild? You have to refer to them as a magical group. Open your windows! Go on a university campus! At least that's what the pamphlets lead you to believe. So anyway, they chose to redo the movie, erase the cast for the dwarves out, and replace them with CG dwarves. And now, I swear the Daily Wire has like endless amounts of material to work with now. You see what you did, Disney? You just made the Daily Wire very happy. Now Ben Shapiro is like, Snow White, the woke left has taken over another Disney classic. But first, do you have car insurance? Yeah. One thing is, and I'm going to be serious here, I really feel bad for Rachel Zegler. Because Rachel Zegler, her comments were stupid, okay? Duh. You know? Her take was Snow White is racist. Like the original movie, that is. Snow White is racist and misogynistic. I mean, it was made in 1920 somewhat. You know? It's she's a kid. She's 20. You know? I had stupid opinions when I was 20. You know? I was a fucking moon landing denialist when I was 20, okay? We have dumb opinions when we're 20. Is it really worth fucking dunking on her on the internet? I mean, what if this was my daughter, you know? I'd be like, listen, my daughter said something stupid. Please leave her alone. Why am I referring to her as my daughter? She's like 5 years younger than me. But you see what I mean? It's like people are too mean on the internet. Can't just let stupid actors be stupid. Actors aren't the smartest people in the world. For the most part, that is. Anyway, April 4th, we got Minecraft, the movie. I am Steve. I don't have anything to contribute to the conversation. I'm kind of Jack Black fatigued at this point. That's about all I can say. I've never played Minecraft. I think it's the studios. They saw Barbie's success and they saw Lego Movie's success, and they're just like, what other toys can we make? Here's an interesting one. Here's a very interesting one. And I don't know how they're going to do this one. But April 18th, we have Passion of the Christ 2, The Resurrection. I didn't make that title up. That's like the title as it's listed on IMDb. So, trying to find a way to say this without like spoiling the previous movie. But okay, guys, just block your ears. I'm about to spoil the first Passion of the Christ movie, so block your ears. I'll put my hand up like this, and when you see it go down, it means the spoilers have ended. So just look at my hand and block your ears, okay? 3, 2, 1, here it goes. Jesus died in the last movie. So yeah, I don't know how they're gonna navigate a sequel given that information, but Mel Gibson's returning in the directorial chair. Jim Caviezel is returning as Jesus. What the fuck, Hollywood? I don't know. There might be a story there. I'm not familiar with the Bible passages that follow the resurrection of Jesus. From what I hear, there's a lot of material there, which I'm sure a lot of stuff happened, but it's not going to work as a movie from what I get. I think it's going to follow the disciples trying to spread the word of Jesus. That's what I originally thought, anyway. And then I saw Jim Caviezel is in the movie. So it's like, is he going to be like an Obi-Wan ghost in the movie, just kind of mentoring people? I think the only way you can go about this film is to make it about the disciples trying to spread the word of Jesus. I don't know how you make a movie about the resurrection. That's crazy to me. And I'm sure Christian people are going to say, oh, there's tons of material there. Is there like a 3-act structure to that moment? I don't think so. And if there were a 3-act structure moment in Jesus' resurrection, it would have been done way before in the 1950s when biblical epics were like the big thing. I don't know. April 25th, we got The Accountant 2, Electric Boogaloo. The Accountant is probably the worst title for a movie I've ever seen. And I don't know why Hollywood does this. They give the boringest fucking titles to movies. I put something that makes you, the audience, want to see the movie. I remember a few years ago, there was this movie called Women Talking. And I said I go to film school, and I said in my film school class, I was like, holy hell, what was the studio thinking? They named the movie Women Talking. Now, most people don't like movies about people talking. Men or women. But they usually prefer men talking. No, I'm kidding. Come on, don't say that. Anyway, I just thought it was a terrible title. Not because of men and women, just because of talking. And then someone got pissed at me. They're like, Paul, you're sexist. A movie called Women Talking, and you don't want to see it because it's women. And I'm like, no, because of the talking, not the women. If it was women kicking ass, I'd be like, oh yeah, sure, yeah. Women in bikinis kicking ass. That would have been a better title for Women Talking. Okay, anyway, about The Accountant, I went on a tangent. But The Accountant 2, I liked The Accountant 1, but it feels like it came out 20 million years ago. I can barely remember the movie. Ben Affleck has autism, but it's not like the Rain Man kind of autism. It's like the high-functioning autism. And he's a contract killer. And that's all I remember about it. I really can't remember The Accountant movie. If I had to guess, this movie's gonna bomb, and bomb real hard at that. It's one of those movies, like, it wasn't that successful when it came out, They waited way too long for a sequel. No one's gonna remember the first one. I'm willing to put money on this. This is gonna be a dismal flop. We're talking millions of dollars set on fire. Whichever studio responsible for this is, let's just say their steak dinners are gonna become Wendy's Big Macs. Next, Until Dawn. This is a video game, and it starred Rami Malek, the video game. I don't think Rami Malek is coming back for this. He's an Oscar-winning actor. Thank you. Well, what's fun about the video game, it was like a choose-your-own-adventure thing. I've never played it. Well, I've played it, but with my brother. I can't fucking play video games. I'm, like, stupid. I can't control 2 joysticks at the same time. That's how fucking bad I am at video games. But my brother just said, what story do you want? And I'd, like, pick what story I wanted. And that's what was fun about it. If they do the Clue thing, where different audience members get different endings depending on what cinema you're going to, that would be interesting. Other than that, it wasn't that remarkable of a story Until Dawn. Like, the interactivity is what really made it fun. Like, oh, what are you scared of? And then you can pick from a list of what scares you. And if you pick spiders, obviously a scene with spiders is going to show up. May 2! The Thunderbolts. Yeah, another Marvel movie. Half of the characters I don't really care about. I'm sure comic book fans care about those characters, but it's because they have preconceived knowledge of them, which I don't possess. I didn't see Black Widow, so I don't care about Yelena Bakalova, or whatever her name is. I don't care about the Red Guardian. And, who else is there? I didn't watch, what was that called? The Adventures of the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus. I didn't watch it, so I don't know about the whole Chad Captain America guy. Speaking of which, this is the reason why I never watched that show. Why I just don't watch TV shows to begin with all that much. My friend showed me a clip from that show. Sam Wilson, the Falcon, he says, you gotta stop calling them terrorists. And I found it the funniest fucking shit ever. There was like this meme going around of like them exploding ship, and it would just cut to him like, you gotta stop calling them terrorists. Anyway, back to Thunderbolts, sorry. Thunderbolts kind of, from what I hear, it borrows a lot from Cube. And people are saying it's like Cube, but with superheroes. And from that description, I'm like, it's a bit curious. Unfortunately, Marvel is kind of done. I think after Endgame, I just stopped caring. I watched a few of their movies here and there. I watched Doctor Strange too, but it's because I had my boy Sam Raimi, and I was like, I kind of have to, but... Anyway, Final Destination, Bloodlines. It's gonna be a Final Destination movie, and I'm worried they tone it down with the gore, because I feel like the 2000s, when you had French extremism and Saw movies were coming out left and right, and Final Destination kind of found its niche in that market. I don't know if that market still exists. I watched the newest Saw movie, and compared to like Saw 3, it was very tame. Same thing with like the Saw movie with Chris Rock, and the Saw movie before that, it was just called Jigsaw. They're very tame compared to those original Saw movies. So I don't know. I feel like gore hounds are fewer and fewer, and they're not like as big a demographic anymore. So I don't think this Final Destination movie is gonna go quite as hardcore. I would love it if it did. I'm not banking on it really. May 23rd, Lilo and Stitch. The only thing I'm looking forward to is I always kind of had a crush on Lilo's sister, and it would be great to see her in live action. Well, hopefully, I don't know. Anyway, it's directed by the guy who made Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, which was a great movie. Unfortunately, he sold his soul to the Disney devil. I don't know, maybe he like went to a party, said something inappropriate. One of Disney's producers caught it on camera, and now he's blackmailing him. And he's like, yeah, you must make Lilo and Stitch live action. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. Who the fuck wants to see Lilo and Stitch live action? But here's the thing about Lilo and Stitch. It's probably my favorite Disney animated movie. And here's why. You had like the Disney Renaissance, where it was like Aladdin and Little Mermaid, Lion King. And then in the 2000s, they were like just running out of ideas, so we were just fucking flinging shit at the wall and seeing whatever worked. And they made terrible movies like Home on the Range, which no one even remembers. But they made Lilo and Stitch, and Lilo and Stitch is like such a non-Disney movie. And I think Disney knew it just wasn't a Disney movie. Like the marketing material would have Stitch like show up in The Lion King and show up in like Cinderella and just like fucking being a little asshole. I like the original Lilo and Stitch movie. It's probably my favorite Disney movie because it's so not a Disney movie. And it still has those Disney emotions of warmth and family and friendship. Yeah, and it's like a no-brainer. Duh, Disney is gonna make a live-action remake. Stars a girl of color, you know, they're gonna remake it for sure. This is how the producers think, by the way. It's probably gonna be a big deal. They're gonna try to like make a marketing campaign that targets Hawaiian people and be like, oh, this is the first time we have a huge Hawaiian cast. Hawaiians, this is a very important movie for you. And then like some Hawaiian eating Doritos is like, well, I guess it's an important movie. I have to see it. So I think it's gonna do well. I'm really cynical of Disney, in case you couldn't fucking tell. Next, same day, we get Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. I liked Mission Impossible with Henry Cavill, whatever that one was fucking called. Mission Impossible Fallout, I think it was called. That's a fucking banger movie. And the ones before it too, Rogue Nation, Ghost Protocol, like, those 3 Mission Impossible movies are so fucking good. They're good movies. They're just solid. Mwah, 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 mwah. My compliments to the Christopher McQuarrie. But I didn't like Final Reckoning Part 1. No, it was called Dead Reckoning. Okay, wait. I need to fix my brain. So the last movie was called... Okay. Mission Impossible 1. Mission Impossible 2. Mission Impossible 3. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Mission Impossible Fallout. Now this is where it gets tricky. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And now it's Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. So they dropped the Part 2. I don't know. I didn't like the previous movie, Dead Reckoning Part 1. It didn't have a good balance of action, characters, and exposition. It's always like what's the biggest struggle of the Mission Impossible movies is they're so exposition heavy. How do you do it as briefly as possible? Or like how do you make it as unnoticeable as possible? And I think the reason why Fallout worked so much is not only did you have like the cool action set pieces, but you had Henry Cavill and there's like his dynamic with Tom Cruise, and they tried to do that again with the girl from Captain America, and I really like her character in the movie. I think she works. It just didn't have that same dynamic where it was fun, it kept you guessing and shit like that. I feel like the exposition goes way too hard in that movie, and I don't think the stunts were as crazy, which is another thing. Like, maybe they're saving it all for this movie. I hope they are, but Mission Impossible 4, I think, had the best stunts, and 6, I think, is a close second, and 5. But Mission Impossible 7 had the boringer stunts. May 30th, Karate Kid. I'm not a big Karate Kid fan, I gotta tell you. This was shot in Montreal. That's all I can tell you. June 6th, Dirty Dancing 2. This has to be, like, fake. I keep seeing there's a Dirty Dancing 2 coming out, but there was already a Dirty Dancing 2. Dirty Dancing Havana Nights with Diego Luna. Yeah. Do we really need a Dirty Dancing 2? It's the Legacy sequel. They're gonna have the ghost of Patrick Swayze give dancing lessons to, like, I don't know, an up-and-coming actor who's hot at the moment. Jenna Ortega. And then the ghost of Patrick Swayze is gonna be in Ghost 2. They're not gonna need CG because he's already a ghost. Alright, next. From the World of John Wick presents Ballerina. This is how the name is listed on IMDb. Please, for the love of God, Lionsgate, do not name the movie that. It's so extra. So extra. So extra. Okay, here's the thing. People think John Wick is good because of the action. It's not. It's good because of John Wick. This is what I heard. When the first John Wick movie came out, they were gonna call it something completely different. I think they were gonna call it like Continental blah 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 blah. No, I don't think it was that, but it was gonna be something completely different. And Keanu Reeves said, "I want you to make this movie, but you're gonna call it John Wick." I don't know why Keanu Reeves talks like that, where his whole body will move. We're gonna make another movie, but it's gonna be called John Wick, you know? So yeah, he made the movie John Wick, and from what we can see, it's not because he's a egomaniac. It's because it's a John Wick. He's John Wick. Every time they say John Wick, they ooh. You fucked with John Wick? Ooh. I think people really love that character. Is he like bulletproof? Yeah. Kind of gets a little boring, I guess, in that regard, because you know he's not gonna die. Spoilers, he does. Also, like, I don't really remember Ballerina. Ballerinas were like a subplot in the third movie, I believe. They weren't the most memorable thing about like the John Wick universe. It's really it's not gonna do well. Like, I can tell you right away, and I think they know it's not gonna do well. So they had John Wick show up in the movie. Like, apparently they did reshoots so that Keanu Reeves can be in the movie. And next they're making a John Wick 5. So I think they know it's not going to be a big success. It's also like a very saturated, like, John Wick was such a trailblazer for like modern action movies. And I'm going to talk about it more in my original video, I guess, but you have so many movies like that Ke Kwan movie coming out, and there's a Nobody 2 coming out, and like that John Wick style of action is slowly becoming more saturated. And I think if it's someone other than John Wick, people are gonna be like, oh, it's gonna be like Nobody. June 13, How to Train Your Dragon live action remake. This movie doesn't deserve the light of day. I'm just gonna skip over it. Like, I'm not the biggest How to Train Your Dragon fan to begin with. I respect the movies. It's just like, I'm a fucking 27-year-old with hair on my ass. I don't like How to Train Your Dragon like that. Yeah, what do you want me to do? I'm just a man. June 20th, 28 years later. So there's 28 days later, 28 weeks later, and then they skipped over months. Rude. A little rude. But 28 years later, yeah, the trailer came out. Looks pretty decent. They had that zombie that kind of just raises up. It was a really well put together trailer. Danny Boyle is, I think, one of the most underrated directors. Has he made shit movies? Maybe one or two. One of them being that Beatles movie. But can we just talk about how many bangers he's made? Okay, Shallow Grave, banger. Trainspotting, banger. Trainspotting 2, I'm not big into. I can kind of respect it, though, for what it does. Next, you have Slumdog Millionaire. Sunshine is super underrated. 28 Days Later is really good. Steve Jobs, he has a really good catalog, and I think if he's returning to this movie, it's not just for a quick buck. And also, Cillian Murphy is producing it, and I don't think he's in it for the quick buck either. So I'm kind of banking on the integrity of these people to make a really badass 28 years later movie. Zombies have been done to death. The kind of zombie trend that was occurring during the Walking Dead days kind of waned down. I want to see something different with zombies. Either change the location up, have like a different character relationship challenged by the zombies. This is what I'm looking for in 28 years later. It's one of the things I liked about 28 Weeks Later. It really shows that moment of like government control, like how the government deals with a pandemic. And it feels more like a movie like that Contagion movie more than a zombie movie. So I think the 28 Days Later movies are really good at giving different perspectives on zombies. Let's see what 28 Years Later do. I really hope they have something good up their sleeve, and I hope to fuck they don't do the remember this bullshit. Anyway, June 27, Megan 2.0. I didn't see Megan 1.0, so let's skip that. July 2nd, Jurassic Park Rebirth. I've seen Jurassic World, and it was so terrible. I hated that movie so much, I never even bothered watching the two next ones with Chris Pratt. Some people, hey, listen, we all have our shit. Me, if you put like blood and guts in a movie, I go crazy and I'll fucking forgive a shitty movie as long as it has blood and guts. And if it has like a hot actress, I'll probably like be blinded. Some people like CGI. They just fucking love it. They like CGI. I'm not one of those guys. When like CGI is thrown on the TV, it gives me a bit of a headache and like my eyes kind of go crazy. So it's just not for me. I'll watch a movie with a ton of CGI. Like if the story is good, I'll go with it, but for the most part, I'm never going to watch a movie because the CGI looks good. It's like probably the most uninteresting thing to me. Jurassic Park Rebirth, I think they're trying to course correct. They know people are disinterested in Jurassic Park after like the abysmal trilogy that preceded it. They tried casting Mahershala Ali and Scarlett Johansson, but I think it's too little too late for me. It's like I really don't care about like CGI dinosaurs. July 11, Superman. Here's the thing. I like James Gunn a lot. He's a talented dude. I'm just tired of him making superhero shit. Can you just give me one movie without a superhero in it? Can you make Slither? Not like make a Slither 2, but make something original like Slither was original. Give me something. James Gunn, I've been a fan for a long time. Can you give me something that's not superhero oriented? But good on you. You're making the big bucks. As for this interpretation of Superman, it feels closer to the Christopher Reeves Superman movies, the Donner movies. Here's my hot take. It's not that hot a take. I actually like Superman Returns. I think that's a decent little movie. And I'm happy they're doing stuff like bringing the red underwear back. The guy's hairdo in the trailer is fucking goofy as shit. It really feels like they're gonna do what Sam Raimi did with Spider-Man, but with Superman. And if they do that, I'm all for it. I'm just kind of burnt out on superheroes, quite honestly. I don't really have interest in seeing superhero movies. I'm watching this more for James Gunn than I'm watching it for Superman. I think James Gunn is going to knock it out of the park, though. If you're a Superman fan and you're like, oh, the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy is going to do Superman is so totally different, I think you're stupid. Watch Super with Rainn Wilson. That movie has a fuck ton of heart. And we're not talking about a guy who's like goody two-shoe like Superman. They make you sympathize with a guy who goes around and does vigilanteism with a fucking wrench. July 18, you get 2 franchise movies for the price of 1. More franchise. I Know What You Did Last Summer remake. That's one of those movies where if you're gonna remake it, I sense danger. Danger, Will Robinson. It's gonna go one of 2 routes. Now, this is just me talking out of my ass. I haven't read the plot or anything. I am afraid they have it take place during the era the original movie took place, which is like late 90s from what I remember. And they're gonna make it like nostalgia bait. That's what I fear. Where they're gonna be like, oh, remember Tamagotchi or Tobagotchi, whatever? Oh, remember Crocodile Dentist? They're teenagers, but you get the idea. They're gonna be wearing like fucking low cut jeans, and they're gonna be acting like they're in the 90s. No way, dude! I fear that's where the movie is gonna go. As for that, it's I was never a fan of those movies. And then you get Smurfs the musical, though. Smurfs the musical. That's gonna be something. I really hope they go the route where it's not animated and they just like cast like Lin-Manuel Miranda in a Smurf costume with his head cut out in it, and he's like singing in this big bulky costume. Ariana DeBose is like the girl Smurf. Who can be the Papa Smurf? Who's like an old musical dude? Hugh Jackman as Papa Smurf, and it's all 3 of them on like a fucking high school theater stage dressed as these giant Smurfs. That's the only way you can get me to watch that movie. July 25th, Fantastic Four. I will say this. I'm not going to shit on Marvel again because I did that already. I like that Jetsons aesthetic. Like that kind of retro, futuristic thing. It will be really interesting to see them do like old shit, but futuristically. Like drive-in theaters, but it's all in flying cars. You know, I really like that aesthetic. I feel like more movies should utilize that aesthetic. And that's the only thing I feel like this movie's got going for it. People are like, well, Robert Downey Jr. is coming back as Doctor Doom. I don't really care. He died in the last movie, and so did Marvel, for that matter. August 1st, you get Bad Guys 2. I didn't see Bad Guys 1. Again, I'm a grown man. And this is interesting. You're getting a Naked Gun remake starring Liam Neeson. Let me look up details real quick. So from what I remember, Seth MacFarlane... Yeah, it was Seth MacFarlane that pitched this idea. But it's not being directed by Seth MacFarlane. It's directed by one of the guys from Lonely Island. It stars... Listen to this cast. Liam Neeson, Pamela Anderson, Paul Walter Hauser, and Busta Rhymes. So it's a really interesting cast. Why is Busta Rhymes in it? I'm just happy because I remember reading... This was like... I think Seth MacFarlane's been working on this movie for the past fucking 20 years. But I remember reading an article that Ed Helms was gonna be Frank Drebin. And I was like... Oh no. I was like dubious on this movie until I heard Liam Neeson was going to be a part of it. I think Liam Neeson's perfect casting. Pam Anderson is like an interesting casting too. I really hope they go the route of like... Do you remember the movie Barbed Wire? So it's like this action movie with Pamela Anderson. And it's really dumb. Kind of has like that wannabe Charlie's Angels vibe. But I hope they go that route with her character. I think that would be the most interesting way to go about it. Other than that, I think parody movies died, unfortunately. I'd love to see them come back. Here's the thing, you have to evolve with the times. I think, like, Naked Gun came out when, like, the Roger Moore Bonds were big. And it's kind of like a parody of that kind of vibe. But ever since then, that genre of movie became very dark and serious. And I think they have to do that further, where it's like a parody of the Casino Royale kind of Bond movie. Not to say that Naked Gun is necessarily spoofing on Bond movies, not really, it's more of spoofs on cops, but you have to kind of borrow from like the cliches of today and mock those. But you have to do it with a straight face, and that's what's key. And I think that's why I hated Ed Helms as Frank Drebin, where he's like constantly gonna look at his camera and smile. I don't want that. And I think that's why Liam Neeson is perfect. I just want to see a shitty Liam Neeson movie with the sense of humor of Naked Gun. I think if they do that, it would be good. Freaky Friday. Hold on, guys. Spit take. Freakier Friday. It's literally my childhood. Sorry, I've been waiting to do that. Freakier Friday. Lindsay Lohan. She's got done dirty. That's all I'll say. That poor woman has been thrown through the ringer. I think she deserves better, and I hope this, like, gives her a fat fucking paycheck. Kids in Hollywood have it tough, you know? August 15, Nobody 2. I'm not that big into the Nobody first film. Sure, make a 2. I don't really care. I'm probably not gonna watch it. Next, Insidious. A spin-off called The Thread. These movies are still going on, man. Like, they've sucked from day one, and they're still going. Same with Conjuring. Oh, speaking of Conjuring, September 5th, Conjuring, The Last Rites. It's not going to be the last Conjuring movie, I can tell you that much. Those two movies, it's just they do nothing for me. The one thing I'll say is I remember watching Insidious 2 in the theater, and the whole theater was laughing their asses off at how bad the movie was. I can't remember shit from the movie, but there's one scene where a character fucking throws a frying pan at another character and it hits them in the back of the head. And it felt like the most Looney Tunes moment ever. And I remember when I got home from the theater, critics were like, dude, it's really psychological horror. It felt like Kubrickian. It felt like The Shining. I'm like, bro, no. And I really hate how film critics, whenever a horror movie is good, they'll be like, it's psychological, man. It's psychological. If Insidious is psychological, I really want those people to consider reading, like, a book by Albert Camus. If they think Insidious 3 is psychological, I wonder what they think of actual psychological shit. Next, September 12, Downton Abbey. I wonder if that girl is going to be in it, the one who passed away. Never watched Downton Abbey, so... September 26th, you get Saw 11. I actually kind of like the last Saw movie. Did it go as intense as I would have wanted? No. And I think they kind of blew their load too early because the best gore sequence was the first scene. And not only that, they made it a dream sequence, which is like a double slap in the face. But like that eyeball sucking device, that kind of spooked me out. But on the same day as Saw 11, you get a horror movie that's probably going to be not as good, you know? Like, Saw 11 is going to be the horror movie to watch that day. But if you're not a Saw fan, I guess you can opt out and watch Guillermo del Toro's The Bride of Frankenstein, if you really want to. No, I think this is going to be, like, one of the best movies of the year next year. The Bride of Frankenstein is my favorite classic Universal film. I'm not one for remakes. I'm always like, just watch the original. The Universal monster movies are a tough sell for the average consumer, so I don't mind them remaking it. Just like Nosferatu with Robert Eggers. But yeah, if you're gonna do it, Guillermo del Toro, Christian Bale, can't go wrong with that. Can't go wrong with that. October 10th, you get Tron Ares, starring Jared Leto, America's sweetheart. How does Jared Leto still get work? Because people hate him. He was good for a while, but something got to him once he won an Oscar, and then it was just downhill from there. But think about it. He won that Oscar back in 2014, okay? Rami Malek won an Oscar, like, way after that, and he's struggling to find big performances like Jared Leto is getting. I have the feeling anyway. I haven't seen anything with Rami Malek other than Oppenheimer since Bohemian Rhapsody. And not only that, but he's like a creep, which I'm all for hiring creeps. Like, I'm all for it. Everyone in Hollywood is a scumbag. They all deserve work. But what's the playing field here? What are we doing? October 17, we have The Black Phone 2. The Black Phone did not need a sequel. October 24, you have Mortal Kombat 2. Not a big video game guy. I can't really judge. Haven't seen the first one. November 7th, The Running Man. They're remaking it. I mean, The Running Man was cool when it came out. You release it now, kids are going to be like, oh, it's the Hunger Games. Arnold's probably going to come back. And he's going to be like, I'm running again. That's what he's going to say. On the same day, you're getting Predator Badlands. Speaking of fucking Schwarzenegger. You're getting another Predator movie. From what I read, this isn't going to be the same as Prey, which was the Predator movie that took place in like Native American territory. Pretty cool movie. That movie I liked. It was decent. Not like stunning and remarkable, but it was a fun time, and that's all it needed to be for me. Predator Badlands, I think you just go the direction of that. Maybe have it take place way before or way after. Maybe the Predator lands in like Africa in like the 80s. I don't know. Maybe not the 80s, maybe like 1930s. Or you go way back where like it's like Predator versus fucking medieval times. That would be a little goofy. It would be like Army of Darkness. Just do Army of Darkness with a Predator. Yeah, there's not enough information on it. I can't really judge. November 13, Now You See Me 3. The Now You See Me movies are the worst fucking movies I've ever seen. I don't care what anyone says. I hate the Now You See Me movies. I didn't watch them until recently. Maybe like a year ago. And I thought this whole time they were going to be doing magic, like fucking sleight of hands and shit like that. They don't do real magic. It's like some CG bullshit. And you're like, huh? It's like they're using legit superpowers. So it's like superpower bank heist movies. I feel cheated. They should have made a movie. Here's my pitch. You do Now You See Me, but you have it take place in high school. There's a really good movie called Bad Geniuses. I think it was a movie from Thailand. It kind of felt like a heist movie, and it was all about them trying to cheat on their exam. And maybe you follow a group of dorks that are into magic, and you have them try to do some big heist in a high school, but they're the magic dorks, and they pull off the heist, and all of a sudden they're the cool kids. And you make it so that it's like American Vandal. Something like that, you know? You follow the dorks, but it's like they're doing some cool shit. That's my pitch for you. Make it happen. And you better have real fucking magic in it. I tell ya. No. November 21st, Wicked 2? I guess they filmed them back to back. Thank God, because I think if those two actresses had to make another movie together, I don't know what would happen. I think they would kill each other and then try to have sex with each other. That's what would happen. It's just the two extremes, man. November 26th, Zootopia 2. December 5th, Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I'm getting exhausted, guys. Bear with me. I'm just pounding through these. December 19th, you get 2. You get another SpongeBob movie, The Search for SquarePants, and Avatar 3. If I had to venture a guess, I think Avatar 3 is the one that's going to make the most money. Actually, no. SpongeBob is going to make the most money that weekend, and I'll tell you why. Avatar 3 is going to get delayed. It's going to be Avatar 2 all over again. It's going to get pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And then when it finally is about to come out, people are like, well, they pushed it so many times, it's never going to make $1 billion. And it's going to make $2 billion. That's the story of Avatar 3. Not a big Avatar guy, needless to say. Didn't like The Way of the Water. And December 25th, the world is greeting us with one last remake, slapping us in the face right during the holidays. They're remaking Anaconda with Jack Black. I don't know if it's a remake of Anaconda, but I think it's a remake of Anaconda. And it starts America's darling, Jack Black. Oh, but he's so funny. A rig-a-doo-doo, rig-a-doo. I think they're just borrowing the title and the brand recognition. And yeah. How many times is Jack Black gonna go to the jungle before he realizes it's probably a bad idea? Movies with no date. Only one here is Happy Gilmore 2. The Netflix Adam Sandler movies aren't really good, but I do like Hoobie Halloween. That's like a guilty pleasure movie. So if it's anything like Hoobie Halloween, I'm fine, man. Alright, that's it for this part. See you in part 2. See you later.